Still, Connor and Madison don't know him very well. My name is Carter Reynolds. I am 42 years old. I run Reynolds Security Solutions. Becky, who is 8 years old, is my wife. I thought Ethan Morrison was my friend, but he said that about me. My security gadget picked up everything. They were in room 2847 at the Ritz-Carlton downtown. I never got Becky a diamond ring that cost $15,000. Ethan took $23,000 from our joint account and bought it. When Becky said, "My kids don't know much about me," she laughed. Ethan said, "They'll know that Daddy wasn't there after the divorce." Rebecca responded, "Yes. They will find out the truth." Married for 8 years. 12 years with the Army Intelligence. 15 years of struggle to get my business to make $2.3 million a year. They felt they could deal with it all. If you appreciate reading about liars getting what they deserve. Right now, click like and subscribe. We release fresh stories every day that are even weirder than the last. I served in the Army for 12 years before leaving in 2013. I started Reynolds Security with a laptop and $50,000 in savings. Corporate security advice helps firms keep their data, leaders, and secrets safe. Firms invest a lot of money to hire someone who thinks like the bad guys. I met Rebecca Walsh at a banquet to raise money for Chicago Children's Hospital. I was 34 and she was 28. The builder specializes in high-end condos in city settings. She was really beautiful. Because of her red hair and confidence, every guy wanted to chat to her. When she was a child, Rebecca had a lot of money. My dad, Robert Walsh, is from the United States. Senator. Patricia Walsh is a federal judge and the mother of the child. They owned a mansion in Lincoln Park that cost $3 million. Becky has always gone to private schools. She assumed everything would be fine. My first date, dinner at Alinea, the most expensive restaurant in Chicago, cost $300. Rebecca didn't check the costs before she ordered the most expensive wine. There should have been a warning notice for them. We moved fast. For 6 months, she spent most evenings at my house. I asked her to marry me with a 3-carat diamond that cost $18,000, which is around 2 months' pay. At Palmer House, Rebecca had the wedding of her dreams with 200 guests. 7 meals and a bar that is open. The total cost was $85,000. I paid for everything. In the first several years, I felt like I had won the prize. The business is growing significantly. Rebecca is making a lot of money by selling expensive residences. Paid $1.2 million for a 4-bedroom property near Lincoln Park. There are 2 BMWs parked in the driveway. There are 2 excursions to Europe each year. Rebecca enjoyed the way my achievement changed her life. Nordstrom is where people go to buy expensive goods for $3,000 or more. First-class trips all the time. Dinners where the main course costs $60. She would tell her pals that her spouse was quite wealthy. I was making a lot of money by 2016. Reynolds Security has 12 employees and contracts with significant companies. She declared she was ready to become a mother. He came into the world at 3:22 a.m. on March 15, 2016. It weighs 4 ounces and 7 pounds. The nurse next door could hear him scream. Madison was 6 pounds 11 ounces and very quiet after 12 minutes, which made us worry. Both are wonderful. Having kids changed everything for me. Worked longer hours, took on bigger clientele, and pushed themselves harder than they did in the Army. They worked late and made deals every day for their future. It seemed like Rebecca understood. Helped me make coffee while I worked late. When I was worried out, I rubbed my shoulders. I told my mom friends how hard I worked to take care of our family. Things were different in 2018. I walked into the room while Rebecca was on the phone, and the call stopped. Started going to social events without me, such galleries. Parties and meals for workers to raise money for charity. They told me it was because you were usually too busy with work. Ethan Morrison came then. Rebecca said she wanted to work with him on a project. He was 35 years old, divorced, and didn't have any kids. A black BMW M5 that costs $2,000 looks nice. I could easily walk into any room. And make sure that everyone listens for 10 minutes. Rebecca added that Ethan knew people in the business of real estate who could help her with her goals to grow. They would work together on a large endeavor to make downtown better. She would spend hours in his office making arrangements. When you arrive home, tell him how smart he is. I liked Ethan right away. What a dumb thing to do. He'd come over for supper every few weeks. Brought wine that cost more than $100 a bottle. Gave Connor and Madison toys, books, and pets as gifts. Kids loved him. Ethan and I would drink whiskey and converse in my living room after dinner. Politics, athletics, and ambitions for the future. He seemed to be interested in what I was doing. Asked sensible questions about how safe the organization was. Expressed respect for those who served in the military. I didn't know that every conversation was a means to get information. Every query I had about my business was about how to ruin it. They sought for ways to take advantage of my faults and trust with each compliment. Rebecca's sentiments about me altered a lot in 2019. She didn't like anything I did. How I put things in the sink. How many hours I put in at work. How I taught my kids to act. There were fighting everywhere. The kids need their dad to be present. She would say this while we were fighting, which was when I was most stressed out from work. Carter, money isn't all that matters. Family comes first. The irony made me angry. I worked 70 hours a week just to support my family. Every client, every deal. We stayed up late every night so Rebecca and the kids could remain in our nice house. Twins could attend to Chicago's premier private school. Rebecca was able to keep living the way she had always lived. But Rebecca never said anything about saving money, even when she was upset about my work schedule. Still wanted expensive brand name clothes that most people couldn't buy every month. Still wanted to go on fancy vacations in Tuscany and the French Riviera. Still wanted nice dinners where a bottle of wine costs $200. Ethan also started to show up all the time. Every Saturday morning, they brought nice coffee and sandwiches. Watched Madison's and Connor's soccer games and dancing shows. When I came over for dinner, I helped put the kids to bed. Reading stories in silly voices that made them laugh. I shouldn't have spoken those things to Ethan. Details regarding the major clients, such as which companies are worried about data leaks. Whose leaders needed to be protected. The money our family has saved, put into investments, and bought life insurance with. I believed I was chatting to a friend. Giving information to someone who wants to kill me, even though I don't want to. February 2020 is the breaking point. I just got back from a week-long employment at a tech business in Seattle working on a data hack. Essential to remedy the damage right away. I worked for the customer for 7 days and got paid $75,000. We're tired, but we're happy to be with our family. Instead, they went into a house full of strangers. Rebecca didn't look up from her laptop for long. "Oh, you're back," like I was the mailman. Connor and Madison, who shouted "Daddy's home" all the time, seemed shy following excursions. When I asked what was wrong, what Rebecca said hit me hard. "They aren't used to you being here anymore. You don't feel comfortable in your own home anymore." That night, I slept next to a woman who seemed to be farther away than when we were dating. I made a choice. Find out what's wrong with my family and make it better. It all started with a small inquiry. You learn not to jump to conclusions if you work in military intelligence for 12 years. Before you do anything, gather information, look for patterns, and put together a complete picture. Started with Rebecca's MacBook Pro laptop. She utilized for work but kept open in the kitchen. Making coffee or getting the kids ready for school. She got dressed upstairs every morning for about 10 minutes. A lot of people don't get that they're never really gone. When you delete something, the computer labels that space is open for new data. Everything stays where it is until something writes over it. Rebecca threw away her garbage and deleted all the files on her computer. But didn't know about shadow files or cache restore. It took 3 hours and 17 minutes to fix it. Everything she has done on the internet in the last 8 months. What I found made me sick. Things started to get amorous in June 2019. Rebecca and Ethan always start their texts to one another with work-related things. Things are getting personal fast. In July, they would meet for lunch talks that lasted 3 hours. In August, Rebecca emailed him images of herself in the underwear I had bought for her. Took a picture of our bedroom while I was at work. But the encounter was just the tip of the iceberg. A step-by-step plan for ruining my life is below. For months, Rebecca and Ethan had been making plans. The plan was complicated and affected every element of my life. They would suggest I did anything improper by employing security technologies to keep an eye on my competitors. Hurting the reputation of a professional. Putting Reynolds Security out of business by pursuing litigation against them. They would claim I was crazy. They were obsessed with watching and controlling things, which could hurt their family. Rebecca's mother is Judge Patricia Walsh. Would help them win the case for custody. Senator Robert Walsh's father knew a lot of individuals throughout Chicago's business and legal groupings who could keep me from getting work in the future. The text that hurts the most is Rebecca and Lawrence Sterling, a divorce lawyer, collaborated on a draft of a parenting claim. She made me look like a workaholic who doesn't care about anything else. Put off their family responsibilities to make money. They said the youngsters were afraid of their dads. Unpredictable behavior and a demand for too much control. Said I could be hazardous. Talking a lot about military training and espionage tools. getting information that could scare or injure family members. Every statement was meant to wound me. I lied to everyone to make it look authentic to folks who didn't know me. For months, Rebecca and Ethan worked on the case. They took everything I had worked for and made sure I could never get it back. But there was something else in those files. Refers to a court case from 2011 that is now closed and involved the Walsh family. There was a car accident that was handled privately through family ties. I realized that I was no longer on defensive. Going on the offensive. The following phase required military intelligence expertise. I thought I would never use it on individuals I cared about. I began to watch Rebecca and Ethan very closely. Keeping track of conversations, movements, and currency transactions. It seemed unusual and important to put monitoring instruments in my own home. Used commercial tools, including small cameras placed in smoke alarms and picture frames. Rebecca has music players in her luggage and car that are tiny than quarters. Ethan gave her a $15,000 diamond ring with a GPS tag on it. After 2 weeks, they had everything they needed. HD video of Rebecca and Ethan in their rooms at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. The Four Seasons at the Peninsula. Audio recordings of people talking about how to kill me. Specifics about the lies they would tell in court and how they would split up my things. The most helpful information came from his phone. He had gotten too sure of himself about safety, like most criminals do. Valentine's Day, February 14th, was his birthday. That was the code. That should have been the first indicator that he was full of himself. I learned how their financial planning really worked once I got inside his system. Ethan had 3 accounts, 2 in the Cayman Islands and 1 in Switzerland. Been taking money out of the savings account he shared with Rebecca on a daily basis. Planned to leave after the divorce was final and Rebecca got half of my things. The numbers were nuts. Ethan transported $340,000 out of the country in the last 6 months. The money we made from the investments we made together. Rebecca's business is profitable. He even borrowed money without telling me and used our property as collateral. He also got a first-class one-way ticket to Monaco on March 15th, which is precisely 2 weeks from today. After Rebecca made plans to get a divorce. The plan was clear: let Rebecca win in court. Take half of my money and run away with my stolen nest egg while she stayed behind and pretended to be her distraught ex-wife. This was more than just betrayal. It's a big-scale theft that is planned. It took 3 years to find out the Walsh family's dark secrets. Weeks, but it turned out to be the most beneficial knowledge I'd ever gotten. In 2011, Timothy Walsh, Rebecca's younger brother, was in a closed court case. Who was intoxicated behind the wheel and killed an entire family. One of the casualties was Maria Rodriguez, 34, a nurse at Children's Memorial Hospital. His husband, Carlos Rodriguez, is 36 years old and works in construction. Isabella, 8, and Sophia, 5, are their daughters. On the way home from Sophia's Chuck E. Tim Walsh's 7th birthday party with cheese. Drunk and driving your dad's Mercedes at 70 miles per hour in a 35 miles per hour zone. When the light turned red, they hit their Honda Civic. The Rodriguez family lost all 4 members at the same time. Stephen Walsh left with a sore shoulder. Patricia Walsh, the judge, made sure that her son never got into trouble. There was evidence that was hidden. People who saw what happened were intimidated into reporting alternative stories. The prosecutor agreed to the plea deal, putting Timothy in a private recovery center for 6 months. Instead than going to jail for killing someone in a car. Senator Robert Walsh spent $150 on his campaign in total. To the district attorney's re-election fund, which liberated his son. For 12 years, family members of the Rodriguez family who lived far away fought to achieve justice. Everyone they talked to claimed the case was lost because there wasn't enough evidence. Was sealed, and the Walsh family had too much political power. Looked over every aspect for 3 weeks. By looking at court documents and financial records side by side. People who saw what happened were paid to keep quiet. Put together strong evidence that the Walsh family subverted the legal system to protect the murderer. Now they could kill all of them. Let Ethan and Rebecca go first. They really wanted to find out how far they could go. The call came in early on a Tuesday morning in March. Rebecca's lawyer, Lawrence Sterling, spoke in a very arrogant way. "Mr. Reynolds, it would be better for everyone if we met to discuss about your wife's request. Some matters are best dealt with in person than in a messy court case. The Willis Tower has his office on the 47th floor, chairs made of mahogany and law texts made of leather. All over the walls are trophies for brave family law defense. Guy obviously made a lot of money by cheating on his wife. Sitting behind a big desk like a monarch on his throne. Moving a thick box across a flat surface. These are the words that Mrs. Reynolds uses. Instead of going to court, sign these documents. You will lose. Open box, needs to be read. Rebecca wanted to be in charge of Connor and Madison completely. Me permitted me to talk to him once a month on a weekend. Our house and both BMWs make up 60% of Reynolds Securities assets, which is around $1.4 million. $8,000 a month in alimony for 15 years. Sterling reclined back in his leather chair and looked like he liked what he imagined was my surprise. There is a lot of evidence that you did something wrong, Mrs. Reynolds. Obsession with gadgets for spying. Not being emotionally present in the lives of children. Using military-style questioning in business. Pointing to probable mental health issues. Held off for effect. Judge Patricia Walsh has already read the early material. Stated she would be extremely interested in Mrs. Reynolds' request. Judge Walsh. Rebecca's mom. A well-respected member of the federal court with a reputation for being entirely honest and fair. She will stop doing public business. But her first opinion is quite crucial. Wait with coworkers during the whole tour. Closed the folder and stared at Sterling for a long time. He took a paper envelope out of his luggage and gently put it on his desk. Give this to the person who bought it. Tell her to read very carefully before she determines how cruel she wants to be. Sterling frowned. He wasn't used to getting sent out that quickly. What does this mean? Just give it to me, Lawrence. You might want to start seeking for new customers. The envelope had everything in it. Pictures of Rebecca and Ethan in their hotel rooms with a lot of detail. Printed printouts of texts that say they want to kill me. The bank records show that they took money from accounts. Ethan stole money from abroad, as shown by his financial documents. Finish looking into the Rodriguez case, which is the most crucial thing. Adding new evidence that could eventually bring Sue Timothy Walsh and put an end to him. The carefully planned public image of the family. The first call came in after 6 hours. Rebecca, her voice shaking with rage and dread. Let's discuss, Carter. Now. Oh no, Rebecca. Everything I need to say is in that envelope. You don't know what you need to do. A lot of places in this city are connected to my family. They can injure you in ways you don't even know. Your family is hiding stuff, Rebecca. For 12 years, they have held dark, nasty secrets from one another. I have all of them now. You are lying. Am I? Ask your mom more about Maria Rodriguez. Carcel. Isabella is 8 years old, and Sophia is 5. Find out how much it cost your dad to stay. Timothy killed his whole family and then got out of jail. For around 30 seconds, the line was quiet. What do you want? She talked in a low voice. Fair play. You instantly take back your divorce petition. Sign the form that gives me complete custody of Madison and Connor. Ethan gives back all the money he took and then leaves for good. Your mom quits her position as a judge before I tell the FBI and the public about this. We are being told to kill ourselves. You attempted to break mine first. The only thing that is different is that everything I know about your family is true. Ethan called again after an hour. Ethan was very mad, and Rebecca was afraid. That nasty bastard. We know you've been watching us like a stalker. I'm going to tell everyone how ill you are. Of course, go ahead. Tell them you took $340,000. Talk about offshore accounts and a one-way ticket to Monaco. Rebecca will probably want to know about your plan to depart. The line went silent. Yes, Ethan. I know it all. Every account, every move, and every lie you told Rebecca about how you felt about her. You were going to cheat her out of money like you did me. You can't prove anything. I can show you all of that. Proof of flights, bank statements, and room bills. A list of all the offenses you've committed in the last year. The only thing you need to decide is if you want to be charged in Chicago or the rest of your life hiding from government agents. Finally, I was ready for the third call. Deputy Judge Patricia Walsh. A voice that used to be robust and powerful became weaker and lower. What do you actually desire, Carter? Kate understands what I want. Justice for the Rodriguez family. What will happen to your son? I want your family to leave me alone for good. You want me to mess up my job, my reputation, and everything else I've worked for. You ruined those items 12 years ago to assist your kid get away with murder. I want you to finally deal with what happened. What if we don't agree with what you want? Then Maria Rodriguez. The Rodriguez family, which includes Carlos and Isabella. After 12 years, Sofia Rodriguez and her family finally get the justice they deserve. You have to pay for what you did to everyone in your family. I hung up without waiting for an answer. I didn't think Ethan would grow so desperate when he found out he was locked up. I discovered out the next morning that he had done something I didn't expect. Rebecca called at 6:47 a.m., crying so hard that she couldn't stop. Carter, Ethan is no longer there. He was gone after all the shared accounts were wiped away. They took everything, even the money for the new business. There was nothing left for me. Looked at the information from monitoring. The garage in the apartment where Ethan parked his car is vacant. The phone was off. A quick call to American Airlines confirmed what we already knew. The night before, Ethan Morrison booked an emergency trip to Paris that left at 11:30 p.m. The bastard became afraid and fled away. They told Rebecca to take care of all they had planned together. Please, Becky pleaded Carter through sobs. I messed up, but we can fix it. Get things back to the way they were. Oh no, Rebecca. You made a choice and hurt our family. You have to deal with what happened now. Jake Murphy, an Army acquaintance, called the FBI right away. Worked on financial crimes from the Chicago field office. Given a lot of information on Ethan's overseas accounts. There was a heist at Rebecca's store and a trip to France. A federal judge has blocked Ethan's assets for 6 hours. The name was added to Interpol's global watch list 12 hours ago. 18 hours, locked up at Charles de Gaulle. At the airport attempting to catch a flight to Switzerland. Country that doesn't have a contract with the US to arrest people. The last meeting took held in Lawrence Sterling's office after 2 weeks. Rebecca sat opposite from and looked extremely different from. 8 years ago, I married a strong woman. The garments from the designer got wrinkly. Tears she couldn't hold back ruined her beautiful makeup. Looking at the parenting arrangement made her hands shake. Then there were papers on the table outlining how to split up the assets. Becky, just sign them. Glanced at documents like they were death sentences. Yes, Carter. Don't forget about Connor and Madison. What will happen to them? I have them in my head. Teaching children that their actions have consequences. You can't expect your life to last if you build it on falsehoods and betrayals. She put her name on every piece of paper. Arrangement that provides me full rights as a parent. She got $50,000 and her own items when the assets were split, a formal written apology for not knowing how much my husband cares about his family. The aftermath was immediate and complete. 3 days later, Judge Patricia Walsh said she was leaving the federal bench. Because of health problems that demand rapid attention. Everyone who mattered knew the actual reason, to stay away from government prosecution for messing with the legal system. The FBI reopened the Rodriguez investigation when I gave them new information. Timothy Walsh was captured at his father's house after he killed someone with an automobile. Accusations of planning and getting in the way of justice. After being free for 12 years. Finally had to face with what happened after killing 4 innocent individuals. Robert Walsh's stint as a senator came to an end in. When the connection to the cover-up became public, it caused a scandal. After 30 years of hard effort, they lost their power and influence in just a few weeks. He said he wouldn't seek for office again. They left discreetly to avoid more investigation. Ethan Morrison was sent back from France after 2 months. They are being charged with theft, wire fraud, money laundering, and planning to steal. The federal government offered a plea deal. 7 years in prison in exchange for giving back the money that was stolen. And testifying against other persons who have broken the law in money matters. It was his. Rebecca lost everything that was precious to her. Loss of esteem in Chicago's social groups. The controversy ruined the real estate firm when clients found out about it. Rich friends stopped phoning back. They had to sell their BMW, gold, and luxury clothes because they owed more than $200,000 in legal fees. Finally, she landed a position as a receptionist at a modest real estate company in Schaumburg. She makes $32,000 a year, which is about how much she used to spend on purses per month. She could no longer live the high-class life she had always wanted. Me, I got my kids back. Now, all 3 of them live with me all the time. The house hasn't felt like a real home in years, it feels like a jail. They are now 8 years old, which means they can sometimes get it. People grow up and make mistakes, and families evolve. There has never been more work to do. People in Chicago's business world heard about it. About how I handled the issue with Rebecca and Ethan. Clients started looking for me on purpose because they knew I could protect them from harm, whether it was inside or outside the organization. Reynolds Security Solutions has 28 employees and brings in $4.2 million a year. The biggest shift is how I spend my time. The surveillance equipment in the house is gone. Bedtime replaced late-night work sessions. On Saturday morning, we read tales and had chocolate chip pancakes. I coach Connor's little league team and my name is Lincoln. Play with the Park Lions and help Madison with her art. I'm more a part of their lives now than I used to be. Because I know what I almost lost. After being divorced for 6 months. On a warm summer night, sitting in the backyard. As I watched Madison and Connor run through the lake. They laughed so hard that they could hardly breathe. Their enjoyment was real and true. They didn't know that I had fought a battle to keep their kids safe. Notice that Rebecca was right on one thing. I put work ahead of family for too long. Not anymore. I ask myself a basic question before I make any choice. Do you think this is something Connor and Madison should do? People sometimes ask me if I wish things had gone differently. I wish I could have found a way to save my marriage instead of ending it. It's easy to understand, you can't save anything that was built on lies from the start. Rebecca and Ethan thought they could fool me, because they only saw what they wanted to see, people who were addicted to work. They were too engrossed with work to recognize that they had let them down. They were also wrong about everything else. Because of their blunder, they lost everything they seemed to want. I got back all that was important to me because I was patient and ready. You didn't win by getting back at someone or being mad. Won after a lot of research. Be strategic and remember that the truth is always stronger than lies. Being dumb and greedy ruined Rebecca and Ethan's lives. I just made sure they couldn't take my kids with them. This time, revenge is not the same as justice. You get back at someone who harms you by making them pay. Justice means protecting what matters. Make sure that people get what they deserve for what they do. Kids having fun and giggle outside. Business protects good people from bad people. Rebecca picks up the phone at her workplace in the suburbs. Finally, they are witnessing what actual outcomes look like. Ethan counts the days while he is in federal prison. Sometimes the good guys triumph. It's better to be patient and ready than to be proud and greedy. Sometimes the truth is all you need. If you like this story, click like and comment. If you haven't done it yet. To get an email when new stories like this one come out, click the bell. Thanks for watching. See you next time.